So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about 9 pillars of wealth creation. So anybody who has created any amount of wealth for himself has stood on these 9 pillars. These are 9 factors that lead to wealth creation. And I've been studying a lot of billionaires and I've been trained by some of the most highly sophisticated financial professionals. I've done over 50 courses on various subjects. I've been trained by Dan Pena. I've attended 2 of his castle seminars, and I have been in several multi-million dollar negotiations, including a $3.5 million, $10 million, $120 million, and $140 million negotiations. I've negotiated with public companies. I've been involved in financial presentations with some of the largest banks in the world, including Citibank, Barclays, and several others which are based in UAE, some of the largest in the region. And I have talked to some of the most high-profile bankers within these banks. So there are various levels of employees, and I was talking to the head of investment banking, head of corporate banking. In most of the cases, these are people who have financed over, $350 million deal, very large projects. So I've done presentations in front of those bankers, and I've also secured a term sheet, which is a document that conveys a strong interest from a bank, which was to finance a $10 million, 70% of a $10 million deal that I had in my hands. I didn't end up closing that deal, but just to get that interest was life-changing for me. So I'm going to be talking to you about 9 pillars of wealth that I have identified. This is after, I started 7+ businesses. Not all of them succeeded. Some of them failed. Some of them succeeded. So I'm going to be talking to you about these 9 pillars. So number 1 is region. So region plays an extremely important role. Business is not an individual sport. It's a team sport, and it involves a much larger ecosystem of legal system, financial system, the types of people and talent that's available, overall cultural attitude towards business. Some places just have the culture of relaxing and partying. For example, if you go to Ibiza, that place is built around partying and music and all of that. So that's not probably a good place to start a business from scratch, or build something of substance. But if you look at United States in general, and if you look at places like New York, which has a stock exchange market, or London, which has a stock exchange market, these places have a larger ecosystem of business that can facilitate ideas that can become reality. I remember one of the interviews recently with Warren Buffett, and the interviewer asked him that, what do you think about Elon Musk and what he has accomplished? And he says, it's phenomenal what he has done, and that's what America produces. So he very specifically said, that's what America produces. And what was implicit in his communication was that if he was in some other region, his ideas may not have taken off. Ideas don't have, ideas need to be supported with funding, need to be supported with a lot of people, a lot of talent, a lot of technical knowledge and experience. And there were many times in his career where his company was about to go bankrupt, and he closed financing on the very last day. Well, that was in USA. If he was in another region, it's possible that he may not have received the funding. If that happened, then his ideas would not come to reality. And I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. I'm not talking down on him in any way, but it's important to recognize that a region plays a very important role. And there is a reason why he chose United States to bring his ideas into reality, right? I'm not just saying that success can only happen in United States, but I'm just saying that region plays a big role. And it's got nothing to do with your personal habits or your level of focus. All of those things are important. But if you're positioned in a region which does not support you, which does not lift you up to create financial success, then the likelihood of that is going to be low. So you want to make sure you choose the region in the right manner, a region that has a good financial ecosystem and opportunity in the industry that you want to go into. So that's pillar number one. That's what you stand on, your region. And the other thing is legal system. If your legal system is completely corrupt, or it takes too much time for you to reach to a conclusion in a litigation or something, a document that you want to enforce, or just in general, the overall attitude in the legal system is that of corruption and it's on all levels and things go really slow, then, you're unnecessarily going to feel tied up and you're not going to take off. So region plays an extremely important role, and that's pillar number one. Pillar number two is your industry. For whatever reason, a lot of the people want to go into restaurant industry. If you want to take a job, they take as in the restaurant. If you want to start a business, you do restaurants. Restaurants is one of the worst businesses to get into, and a lot of the people go bankrupt. In fact, Dave Ramsey, I think one of his recent videos, he said that if one way to go broke is to start a restaurant. Why? Because it's the oldest skill that exists on this planet. Every household has one person who knows how to cook. And every neighborhood has several people who know how to cook. And the first thing that you see outside when you step outside is restaurants. It's a highly competitive business, and food does not have big margins. So it operates on a very thin financial margin. So because of those reasons, it's not a good idea. So you may be very hardworking. You may even have raised capital. You may even understand the know-how, but because of the nature of the industry, you may not make a lot of money. You may not create a lot of wealth. Now, a lot of the people give me example of Tillman Fertitta. You cannot just analyze the people at the top and reference that to base your business model. You have to look at what is the overall trend in the market, not just what the top guy has achieved, but you have to look at a trend, overall trend, right? So industry is a big factor. And I talk about healthcare sector. It's something that came to me from Dan Pena, because healthcare has $11 trillion. So suppose if you have a goal of making $1 billion, which is significant amount of wealth, or even $50 to $100 million, it's far likely that, to happen in an industry that's really big in size. And globally, healthcare industry is about $11 trillion. That's a huge industry. So if you're positioned in that industry, that's going to give you a huge advantage, because it's at a growth phase. It's in a growth phase, and it's stable. We're always going to need healthcare, and it's less likely to be replaced by robots or AI, because you need trained professionals to do this job. The third pillar. So first was region, second was the industry on which you stand on, and the third is the business model and strategy. Okay, you've decided on the region, you've decided on the industry. What are you going to do in this? What are you going to do in this? What's your business model? How are you going to actually make money, right? So most of the business models are based on generating sales. The moment you start a business, the first problem that you're going to have is customers, sales, right? And most businesses are based on sales, getting customers. So, and that's an activity to create revenue. You are developing products and services, sourcing them, and you're finding a market, you're selling to that market and bringing in money and delegating the operations to employees. That's the main functions of the business. But all of that is about creating revenue from scratch. And a lot of the times that takes 5, 10, 15, 20 years for you to create a small business, because there is a lot of trial and error at the beginning. So business model is important, and I recommend acquiring businesses rather than creating one from scratch. Again, coming from my mentor, This is something he highly recommended. It's much easier to run something that already exists than to create something from scratch. And when you buy a business, you're buying a profitable business, and it's cash flowing from day one. In fact, before you buy a business, you can see how much money it's making. So if you see it's making $1 million and it's making a profit of $300,000, if it's making $1 million in revenue and making a profit of $300,000, you know, and it's been doing that since last 10 years, then you know you have a winner. And the owner is old, he wants to retire, and he's willing to sell you his business. And he's even willing to stay on for some time to delegate and teach you how to run it. So, you know, I mean, the business model is the third pillar on which you stand. Region, industry, business model, okay? And strategy, how you're going to make the money. Number 4, the people. This is a big factor. You know, who is on your team? Who is your business partner? Is it your friend from your neighborhood, and the basis on which you got into a partnership with him is because you did not have access to someone better and you're rolling with whatever you have? Well, you know, it's very romantic, and this is showcased in Hollywood a lot, where the underdog beats the big corporation, right? It's a classic story where people in a weak position, a weak team beats the stronger team. Everybody loves that idea. But this is not a movie you want to associate with powerful team. You know, for whatever reason, this was there in my subconscious mind that, you know, all of us who come from weak backgrounds, from poor backgrounds, we're going to make it big, right? And we're going to do it together. And I got into that ideology, and it's very addictive, but and it's very romantic. But the truth is, you want people who are way powerful who are in way powerful position than what you are. And in fact, you'll have to get rid of every person that's weak in your life and that's making you weak. You are powerful or weak based on your associations. So you got to make sure you have the right people, and by right, I mean powerful. And what type of people you associate with depends on what type of goal that you have. If you want to create a $100 million, $500 million, $1 billion company, you would have to associate people who have been involved around those numbers, have been involved in those sizes of companies, from a financial, operational, legal side. You want all of those backgrounds covered. You may not have all the backgrounds. You may have weaknesses. You know, you may not understand financial terms. You may not understand operations. You may not understand legal aspects. So who could you partner up with in those fields? And are these people the authority in those fields or not? You know, you want people who have got a standing, who have got authority. You want to associate with them so that authority rubs off on you, and you have access to all the experience that they have had in their life. You know, 2 inexperienced people do not create experience. One of you have to be experienced, right? Your business partners have to have experience. If you don't have experience, you need to partner up with somebody who has experience. So that alliance will give you so much in such a short period of time, because the person that's sharing their experience may have understood those concepts over 25, 30 years, and they're just giving you the golden nuggets. And I've been fortunate to have some great partners who I learned a lot from. So people is a big, big factor. My mentor, Dan Pena, he mentioned in the seminar, it's better to have a good team executing an average idea than an average team executing a good idea. So let that sink in. Number 4th pillar is the people that are around you, your team. Number 5 is your position. Okay, you may have some powerful people around you. You may have partnered up with some high-profile people, but your percentage in the company is 2% or 1% or 3%, or, you know, it's a very low number, or you may not even have percentage. You may just be an employee. And that's a fifth factor. Fifth pillar is your position. You could be part of $1 billion company, but if you're just an employee, then, it doesn't matter that you're in $1 billion company, right? Unless you're at the shareholder level and unless you have a significant portion of that equity. Very few people have become wealthy being employees. So this is something that you have to consider. How long do you want to stay an employee? At some point you would have to take a decision that you want to not be an employee and become an entrepreneur. And really the technical terminology is you want to become a shareholder. And shareholder is someone who's at the top. It's above CEO level. It's above the board level. Shareholder is really the gods of the company, right? They're the shareholders. They govern everything. So you want to be at the shareholder level. That's where your position has to be. Not at the bottom level, at the top. So here is several levels of the company: shareholder level, board level, which is directors who define the direction of the company, then senior executives, and then ground level employees. Okay. And most people, when they get into a career, they apply for jobs here, the ground level employees. They make the lowest amount of money in the whole world. In any company, the lowest amount of money who makes is the lower level, the ground level employees. You never want to be in this position. If you have to take this position to pay your bills, that's something else. But you have to, while you're in this position, you have to think about, how do I get to the top at the shareholder level? Not at the CEO level, at the shareholder level. I understand Elon Musk has been CEO, but he's also a shareholder, right? He has two roles. So it's fine to be the CEO, but you have to be at the top. And that's the fifth factor. Fifth pillar is position. What's your position on the project? Are you just a manager, or are you somebody who has stake in that project? You want to have stake, you want to have equity. Most people who have created wealth have created because they had equity. Okay. It's the difference between being a property owner and someone who cleans the property. That's the difference. Both have access to the property, but one has ownership. That's what you want. That's position. Number 6 is capital. A lot of the people say that this is not important, or this is not a factor, but how much money you have is a factor. A person who's living on the streets, who doesn't have a phone, who doesn't have anything, is not in an advantageous position. You, who's watching this on a phone or on a laptop, you have a far better advantage. And it's not a very romantic thing to say this, but it's true. If you have money already, you're at a decent advantage. But the good thing is that there are so many opportunities that even if you don't have the money, but if you have a phone or a laptop, you can get the money. There's no shortage of money, but capital is a factor. How much money you have, how much backing you have. You could get people to back you. You could find a job that pays you double, triple, or even 4 times the money that you're making, and you could solve that problem. But it is a factor. How are you going to hire the right mentors? You need capital for that. All of that. Capital is a big factor. And people who have the money and the hunger and drive have a better chance than somebody who doesn't have the money. Okay. So capital is a factor. I'm just giving you the truth of what it is. It's not romantic, I know, but people who have money have an advantage. Okay. So that was number 6. Number 7 is your character traits. Now we're coming to the juicy bit that a lot of the people talk about, is what was the character traits, what was your childhood like, and all of those things. Well, one of the character traits that you want is that you want to be ruthless. Ruthlessness means that you're not going to tolerate somebody walking all over you. You're not going to tolerate people taking advantage of you. You're not going to tolerate people taking advantage of your project without adding something to it first. And that's the ruthless attitude. A lot of the people demonize some of the mergers and acquisitions guy who go in to the company and they fire a bunch of employees like they are some kind of demons. Well, the employees that they fire a lot of the times aren't adding any value to the company and are taking value from the company. So why should they be involved in the company if they're not adding value? Would you want somebody to be involved in your life? They don't add any value and they just keep taking. You don't want that. So you have to cut them out. The other thing that you want as a character trait is you want to be selfish. Why? Because by selfish, I mean you have to take care of yourself. You have to look after yourself. Who's going to do it? If you're not going to do it, who's going to do it? And how can you delegate the responsibility of taking care of yourself to somebody else? You have to, your mind has been given for you. Your body has been given to you for you, not for somebody else. It's given to you for you. If you don't use your mind and your body for your advantage, who else would do that for you? Everybody's looking after themselves and you have to look for you. Okay. So that's character traits. You have to be ruthless. You have to be focused. You have to be disciplined. You have to know how to make the sacrifices. Not everybody can make the sacrifices, right? A lot of the people feel emotionally dependent to other people. They're helplessly dependent to the social situation that they have. They're dependent on women, or whatever the dependency is, but they're not able to get rid of toxic relationships. They don't have it in them to be independent. They don't have it in them to live with themselves, to stand on their feet. A lot of the people are like that. So those people don't make it because you need the right character traits. You have to be okay with spending time with yourself. And those are the typical character traits of somebody who gets financially successful. They spend a lot of time by themselves and working at their company. So that's the pillar number 7 is your character traits. Define how much success you would have and how much wealth you create. Number 8 is skill set / the right information. Right information creates right skill set. So number 8th factor is the skill set. There are several skill sets which are important: communication, leadership, project management, risk analysis, financial intelligence, all of these factors, presentation skills, all of this come under skill set. Most of the debate around the self-development space is around skill sets, but nobody talks about the remaining factors that I mentioned, which is region, industry, and those things. Everybody's focused on skill set. Skill set is important. It's one of the pillars, and it's an extremely important pillar. You need the right skill set. You need the right information. And in today's time, there is a lot of information online. Too much information. But how do you know which information is correct? Somebody should have used that information, validated that information, and the more people who have used the information and validated that information and produced success, produced result from that information, then you know that information has got weight, has got power. Otherwise, information is everywhere. It's not about the information, it's about the right kind of information and the most relevant kind of information that can take you to the next level. Information is one of the most valuable commodities. Suppose somebody told you that below that ground is an actual gold, and I can tell you how to get it. And, if somebody tells you how to get it and you find it, well, that information was extremely valuable. It was invaluable. That information was as valuable as gold. So, but not every information is valuable. But there is certain types of information that leads to result is extremely powerful. I'll give you an example. I spent about 5 hours of consultation with one of my clients, and he has got some extremely high profile individuals on his team. just in 5 hours of consulting. That happened in 2 sessions. We did 2 sessions, 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours, and he's brought together some of the top guys in the United States on his team, and he's in his early 20s. Another client of mine, I spent 4-5 hours with him, and these were my paid clients that I'm mentoring right now, one-on-one. And the second guy, he brought one of the highly senior executive in Coca-Cola who has done billion-dollar IPOs on his team. So that's the sign that the information has got power, and the skill set that I trained has got power. So that's another factor is what kind of information you have and what kind of skill set you have. Number 9 is one of my favorites, is ideology. This is something that most people don't hear about. The 9th pillar is, what is your ideology? What is your philosophical framework? What is your value system like? If your value system is like structured in the following manner, that no matter who is in front of you, you want to do good for them, no matter what, then you're going to fail. Because there are people in the corporate world, when you sit in front of them, their sole agenda is to cut you out of the deal and take the deal for themselves. And at that moment, if your goodness or the pretension of goodness comes out, is at play, you will ignore what they're doing and you will start thinking about doing good for them while they are thinking about cutting your throat. So that comes from your ideology, how you were raised. And, Dan Pena, he talks about this in his seminar, is how you were raised. And what he's talking about is how your ideology was formed. How do you define right and wrong, good and bad, right? And what do you value? Some people don't value success. Some people don't value money. And you can hear this in people's language. I was talking to someone recently, and she said that, she didn't need much in life. She didn't even need air condition, for example. Well, you're going to get what you ask for. So I told her, stop saying these things. Why are you saying these things? But that's her ideology, that she doesn't want more than what she needs. So if this is your ideology, and this was my ideology for a long time, that's how I was raised, that why do you need more than you need? Why do you want to make more than you need? Once your needs are fulfilled, you can just relax and stop. But you have to address this. Are you operating just to fulfill your needs, or do you want to become wealthy? Very few cultures actually value money. Very few cultures value wealth. And very few cultures regard the process of wealth building as a noble pursuit. Most of the cultures have a disdain for money. If you don't believe this, start talking about money with your friends or somebody older. They will immediately correct you. Good, make money, no problem. But always remember, money is not everything. They'll always say, do it, but there's always a but at the end. And whatever comes after the but is their ideology. And never subscribe to an ideology that disregards money, because it's going to become your truth and you will live by that. And when you have $1 million deal, you will see, I could make, a couple of $100,000 for myself here, extra, I could pay a little bit less. I could pay maybe $800,000 or $700,000 for this business. You will be like, what's the need? What's the need of this extra money? And you would mess up the deal. And this is something that I did, that I could reduce the purchase price in one of the situations with the seller, but I felt guilty of doing it. I felt that, maybe I'm making too much money and he's going to make too little. But if you think like that, you're not going to be wealthy, because this is all coming from your fundamental ideology. And one of the authors that I recommend reading is Ayn Rand. who talks about this. And just to give you some perspective, who have read Ayn Rand? Elon Musk has read Ayn Rand. Peter Thiel, the Google founders have read Ayn Rand and have been largely influenced by it. And extremely powerful individuals. Larry Ellison has read Ayn Rand and has been influenced by Ayn Rand and her ideology, right? So ideology is extremely important because it's your fundamental framework, your operating framework of your behavior. Ideology is actually what forms your character and what you value and what you don't value. And all of us at some point have been trained to not value money, to not value power. Any discussion around money and power is condemned. And when the discussion is condemned, how are you going to form projects that get you that power, that get you the money? If your communication is shut down, if you don't even have a listening ear for somebody to listen to your idea and just label you as someone who's greedy, so all of that's ideology. Masses have ideology. The communities that you hang around and I hang around have ideologies, and all of that affects your mind. Some people call it mindset, but a little more technical term is called the ideology. So these are the 9 pillars that I've discovered that lead to wealth creation. Make sure you take some notes and let me know what you think in the comment section. And those of you who are serious, who want to make this pursuit, who want to take action, I've got a mentorship program for you where I teach extremely serious entrepreneurs on how to start their company from scratch and ultimately find the right business partners, find the right industry, and how do you put yourself in a position where you can buy multi-million-dollar businesses and create wealth out of that. So I position you on how to do that. I've got several clients now who are doing extremely well. They're building their teams right now. They've done a few sessions with me, and they're off and running, partnering up with high-profile individuals. And those of you who are serious, there is an application process. I don't work with just anybody who reaches out to me. You would have to apply for it. I'll have to assess if you are the right person for this, if this is for you. And I give you a form to fill for me to assess that. Once you assess and you qualify, I give you 1 free consultation call. You get 1 free consultation call with me where we discuss about your situation and what could be the next best steps for you. This is once you qualify. And that's a second round of qualification where we assess if this is for you. If it's not, I'll tell you this is not for you. If it is for you, then we can see how to move forward. I have the one-on-one and the group mentorship program. So if you're interested to apply, you have to be serious. Reach out to me on any of my social media accounts or email, and I'll talk to you soon.